Hey guys, sorry I've been radio silent lately. I kind of developed stage fright or something like that. I don't know. I kept on wanting to do this vlog since the 10th of this month, but every time I thought about it, I would get anxious. And it's just stupid because it's about Duran Duran. And it was supposed to be made on Duran Duran Appreciation Day. But I don't know if it's because I hold that band close to my heart, um, and I'm going through the midlife crisis, Duran Duran fangirling thing, which to me is very weird at my age. But found a bunch of Duran Duran groups on Facebook, and it's kind of nice to be able to say, John Taylor was the man I was supposed to marry and not be laughed at, because everybody there wants to marry John Taylor, Simon, Nick, Roger, Andy. I'm a purist, Andy. I don't care about Warren. Um, the new guy I like, though, I forget his name. Totally drawing a blank. So, and excuse me, the way I look, I got out of my scrubs and put on something comfortable. So, anyways, I'm feeling a little bit too mellow from my meds. So, before DDAD18, I had my friends and fellow bloggers ask me questions for me to answer, so I'm gonna see if I can answer some of them. First question: how many Duran Duran concerts have you been to? Absolutely none. When I was growing up, I was the only person in my little flock of friends and everything that were into Duran Duran. Most of the people, when they hit about 13 years old, they switched to heavy metal, Metallica and the like. And yes, I did too. I would listen to Metallica a lot, Megadeth and Slayer, but I always went right back to Duran Duran, especially at night. Uh, but this is before the interwebs. I never knew when they were coming to Worcester or any place like that, so I never was able to get tickets. And even if I did get tickets, my dad liked to humor me, but he never offered. I know my mom wouldn't have gone, even though she liked the music. You would think that one of my sisters, especially my middle sister, would have been all for it, because she's the one that took me to my first concert, which was the Ramones. I mean, the Ramones. Duran Duran is different, but I guess the crowd crush would be about the same. Maybe that's the reason why. I don't know. I probably would have passed out anyways. So, bucket list item, first and foremost, catch Duran Duran in concert. Let's see. Do you remember the first song you heard? Where were you, and where were you when you heard it? How old were you? Well, I keep on thinking about this, and I'm not sure if I might have heard Careless Memories on WMWM, because they were more of a new wave radio station that popped up, or if it was on Duran Duran, MTV, which came out in 1981. Either way, I know I fell in love with the music first, because I was going through my new wave punk goth thing at that time, trying to find myself. I was actually becoming me, and my parents kind of let me run with it. But at any rate, the songs got me going, and I mean, Careless Memory, how can you not dance with that one? Uh, couldn't really see the band's faces except for Simons and Rogers during their early times, because John, Andy, and Nick kind of had the whole hair down to their eyes thing. So I didn't realize how cute John Taylor was until the Rio video came out, and that's what hooked me on him. And I loved the Rio album, but it was so overplayed. I do have the record album hanging on my wall, but I still haven't bought the CD. It's just one of those, it's like, yeah, I'll get it sooner or later to add to my collection. Not a big hurry. It's not like I'm going to really listen to it, so got that. They do have the chauffeur and everything. I love that, but other than that, I'm rebuilding my collection. My records disappeared when my ex moved out. I don't know what the hell happened to them. My sister gave me her records, and she just happened to have a Rio album in there, so that's when it kind of triggered the whole collecting thing again. So I'm trying to rebuild it. Pam and I went to a record store, and they had a ton of 12-inch singles that I bought and everything like that. So now I'm just trying to get the CDs, because the radio in my Blazer sucks, so I listen to CDs. Duran Duran's better to listen to. I could sing along. I remember all the words to every freaking album. Kind of weird how you can't remember why I went in the other room, but if you asked me the lyrics to a Duran Duran song, I could probably rattle them off. Alright, next question. What is your favorite Duran song and why? Why Duran Duran? My favorite all-time Duran Duran song is off of Seven and Ragged Tiger. It's called The Seventh Stranger. The first time I heard it, it made me cry. This is when the bipolar and the severe depression was really hitting me. I was young, maybe 12, I think, maybe, about there, 1984, I think the record came out, so I'd be 12. And as soon as I read the lyrics, I cried. And still to this day, the first time I reheard it, I cried, because all the memories of what I was going through mentally at the time and what I was doing and everything just hit me like a ton of bricks. And even now that I've come to grips with that, it's just part of my life, whenever the song comes on, I still get goosebumps. It's just one of those songs. I'll have to link it up for you, or you can look it up. Seventh Stranger, Duran Duran. It's on YouTube. Let's see, what else? Favorite member. If you guys don't know by now, it is John Nigel Taylor. His first name is originally Nigel. He changed it around when he developed the band. Because Nigel, to him, sounded pretty geeky. And he was kind of a geeky kid. He used to wear glasses and everything. He was kind of a wallflower, didn't really conform to anything. And then he met Nick Rhodes, and they decided to start a band when they were 16, I believe. And Duran Duran was born. They got the name. I'm kind of skipping ahead. Got the name for the band off of the cult classic sci-fi movie Barbarella, with Jane Fonda. The nemesis is called Dr. Duran Duran. They didn't catch the D at the end, so when they wrote it out, it was without the D, Duran Duran, and it stuck. I'm glad it did. It's an awesome name. Let's see. So anyways, John Taylor's my favorite. I've got this taped to my desk, so I can always look over and see him. Yeah, I know, I'm just a child. Let's see. What is the best memory that you associate with a particular song? Oh gosh. I think it has to be when I rediscovered them recently. Um, there's a few songs that just recently came out off of the Paper Gods album and Astronaut. And they're really poppy and happy, and you can't help but dance along and everything. Let me look at the album. Let's see. Reach Up for the Sunrise off of Astronaut. Um, what Happens Tomorrow? Mm, that's it on that one. Paper Gods I don't have with me. I'd have to scooch back there. But there's several new songs that just are so happy, and they make me happy. I could be having a lousy day, and I pop in Reach Up for the Sunrise, and you can't help but groove in your chair. You know, throw your hands up in the air like you just don't care. You know, stuff like that. I mean, I love their new stuff. I love their old stuff. I can't wait to see what they bring out next, because these guys, I swear, are immortal. They just keep going, going. I don't know where they find their energy from. It's just insane. All right, I'm babbling. Let's see. What is one question you would ask the band? Oh my God, that's a tough one. Geez, I don't know. I think I would ask, seeing that, well, Andy Taylor joined back for a little while, but then he scooted off again because personality conflict. I think he's too egotistical for the rest of the guys, in my opinion. Uh, I think I would ask their honest opinion on how it feels to have John, Nick, Simon, and Roger back in the band. Does it feel like it was before? Is it more laid back now that they're older? Does it seem more or less stressful than it used to be before going into concert, you know, concert mode and everything? I'd be interested to see on how they handle the stress of their schedule and everything, and what they do to combat it. Um, and maybe I could learn something from that. Uh, that would be after I pass out and somebody did the smelling salts, and I pop back up, because if I saw John Taylor in person, I would. I don't know what I would do. I would just freak out. Hopefully, not fangirl too bad, and be able to put a coherent sentence together. All right. Somebody asked about the first place they played in concert and what year. Well, this is what I came up with. I got this out of the book, John Taylor's book. John Taylor and Nick Rhodes formed Duran Duran in Birmingham, England in 1978, where they became the resident band at the city's Rum Runner nightclub. At the club, they were doing jobs such as John working the door and Nick DJing for $10 a night, or £10 a night. They began rehearsing and regularly played at the venue. There are many nearby nightclubs, and the most significant one, where bands such as the Sex Pistols and the Clash played gigs, was called Barbarella. They would go on to name the band after the character in Barbarella, or Roger Vadom's French science fiction film. The character, played by Milo O'Shea, was named Dr. Duran Duran. So, I already kind of covered that, but there you go. Somebody asked, what is some obscure Duran Duran fan that isn't, fact that isn't well known? Well, after I read that question, I had just seen a story. I was doing some research on their albums, and um, the whole Medazzalam album, and John Taylor is not on that album. But it's the only song, Medazzalam is the only song where you will hear Nick Rhodes orating on an album. And this is what it stems for. I had to copy and paste it. Nick Rhodes orated a song inspired by Simon Le Bon's dental surgery. The 1997 album Medazzaland is the only one to feature vocals from keyboardist Nick Rhodes. In this case, his spoken word performance on the trippy title track, which was inspired by a visit Le Bon made to the dentist. He returned to his bandmates after taking the intravenous drug Midazolam, which allegedly removes all traces of the surgery experience from his memory. His sluggish state prompted at least one of them to say, "You're still in Midazolam, buddy," and the song was born. All right, how did Duran Duran get their name? Covered that. Why am I such a huge fan? Well, growing up in the era of MTV, they played their songs in heavy rotation. I was a blooming teenager, and you saw those guys on screen, and how could you not fall in love with them? I mean, seriously, I would scream like a banshee whenever they came on TV, and I would get this close and kiss the TV screen, and oh God, I was pathetic. I was just really pathetic. But all their songs, even some with the bizarre lyrics that Simon has put out there, I would find hitting meetings that may or may not have been there, but I would find something that would make sense to me. And it's really weird because I fell out of Duran Duran for a long time. Got into the heavy metal, and just recently started getting back into it, and the songs still have meaning to me. They bring back floods of memories, but then I, as an adult, interpret the songs a little bit differently, except for Seventh Stranger, and that just makes me cry, get goosebumps. So yeah, that's why Duran Duran, they've been a part of me since I was 10 years old. I mean, you can't let that go. They're a part of life. They're a part of your soul. You know, and I think everybody has a band. Well, I hope everybody has a band like that, that it's just in your heart and soul. Makes all the difference in the world. Let's see. Favorite member, covered that. What about their music that speaks to you? I just kind of covered that. It hits me. You know, the lyrics can be kind of confusing. You can read your own meaning into them, you know, or you can try to decipher what Simon was going for. It's just interesting. Let's see. What song would you play to someone who doesn't know the band? I would pick a song from every album, even pop trash, just so they can see how diverse their albums are. But if I had to pick a couple songs without going through all the albums and everything, Change the Skyline, I absolutely love. What Are the Chances? Absolutely love. And of course, Seventh Stranger, the one that makes me cry. And seriously, there is at least one song on every album. I would probably want them to listen to the whole Big Thing album, because that one came out in a time of my life where things really, really got wonky. It's when my mental health started to get really bad, my addiction started to get really bad, and that whole album was a part of my life during that time. I mean, I would listen to it over and over again. So I think that album has the most meaning for me, even more so than Seventh and Ragged Tiger. I don't know. I guess you guys have to listen to it. Uh, let's see. A few more. Duran Duran, I don't know what the question was, but I put this down there. Duran Duran is a video compilation, is sometimes unofficially referred to in print as the Duran Duran video album, or Duran Duran, the first 11 videos. I had that. Don't know what happened to it. The pioneering video album won a 1984 Grammy Award for Best Long-Form Music Video. It was certified gold by the RIAA. That's Billboard's magazine week ending November 24th, 1984. Okay, here's one. What was happening in your life when you discovered them? You want the long or short answer? I was always a overly sensitive child. I ran hot and cold. I would be flying high, then crash. All the classic bipolar symptoms. I could not find a lot to be happy about back then, even when I was 10 years old. And they came around in my life. MTV, Duran Duran, all the videos and everything. They came around in my life at a pretty good time because I had a very good distraction. I was always into music, but it was my parents' music. Duran Duran and several other bands made me find my own self, and that helped a lot, and I considered them, because nobody in my little group of friends were really into Duran Duran. I mean, they didn't have the posters plastered all over the wall, so I felt like they were mine, and that's kind of a nice feeling to have. But now, at 46 years old, how long is this video? I have no idea. It's a little strange to be so obsessed with a band from your youth. So, I was futzing around on Facebook, and I found 10, 15 groups dedicated to Duran Duran, and the separate band members, and places where you can swap and buy memorabilia. We have another one with experts that can tell you more about your memorabilia, and I don't feel so alone. I got that book from Durandi, which again, I don't feel so alone. I am not the crazy person in the room when I'm in those groups. If I say, something like along the lines that, JT was the person I was supposed to marry, or oh, what a nice way to start my day, when somebody posts a picture of one of the band members, you can be all schoolgirl, fangirl in these groups, and nobody looks at you funny. So I found my tribe. Durandis are Durandis for life. You may wander off the path, but you always end up back. You always end up back being a Durandie. A lot of people, a lot of the stories I'm reading in Durandy's book are almost healing journeys. You know, them going to the concert after something bad has happened in their life and they find new meaning and happiness going to the concerts. And that makes me so happy that they can pull the strength from music. It's just, music is an amazing healer, you know? It's just, I don't know what else to say. It's just a healing shower when you put on Duran Duran. It's just like you let that music wash over you and you feel young again, you know? Dry mouth. So, yeah, a couple of weeks late on Duran Duran Appreciation Day. Like I said, got a little stage fright, camera shy. So here I am, looking like a schlub. My bra's hanging out. Uh, my desk is a mess, and all that good stuff. And I'm starting to get really tired again. So I'm going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed my boring video. If anybody can think of any kind of questions to ask me so I have something to talk about, it doesn't have to be Duran Duran related. It could be about some of my memories, or when did I get sick, or anything. I'm usually a pretty open book here on the vlogs. I'm actually very shy. Doing the vlogs pushed me out of my comfort zone. And yeah, ask me some questions. If you can find me on Facebook, that would be great. Or you could just leave the comments and questions here on YouTube. But that's just about it for me. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.